Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Hope Sessions podcast with me, Jerry D. Every Monday for the next couple of months, we're going to be diving into the Word of God and discovering some of the incredible truths that are inside it. And I believe that as we begin to discover the power inside the Word, that it will greatly inspire, encourage, and impact our journey of faith as we continue to trust God in our daily lives. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you are listening to it from. This greatly helps to spread the message about the podcast and also encourage other people to check it out for themselves. Don't forget the hope is to life as oxygen is to the body. The message is simple. But also don't forget to enjoy the show. Take care. God bless. Hey guys, I just wanted to hop on here. Obviously, we're celebrating the fact that the Hope Sessions podcast has now reached its 50th episode. I suppose I'm really lost for words in a lot of sense of like how to explain how happy I am, how encouraged I am, how blessed I am at the reality that the Lord Himself has allowed this podcast not just to start in Ireland, but to obviously start in Ireland, but really go worldwide. I was reflecting today, even just before I hopped on here, just looking at some analytics from the podcast and the results that have come in and stuff. And there's been hundreds of people listening to the podcast. That's right, hundreds from around the world. You know, you've got places like Brazil, New Zealand, Austria, Sweden, France, Spain, Mexico, even America. There's many more. But just to kind of give you, I suppose, a deeper look at things, I just really wanted to share my heart with you guys. This is the 50th episode, so obviously there was a time where I had to release the first episode, and obviously in order to release the first episode, there had to be, I suppose, some level of planning and vision and stuff that gone into it. And really, to make it simple for you guys, in January, I was just thinking one day, I sat down like I'm sitting down now in front of my laptop, and my board is in front of me at the moment now with just a lot of ideas that I'm working on. And there's three things I love. And if you've listened to any of the podcast episodes or follow me on any social medias, you'll know that these three things are quite clear. I love talking to people about life, sports, faith, Jesus, pretty much anything. Even if there's something I don't understand about people, I'm always wanting to learn from them. Tell me more about your culture. Tell me more about why you believe that, and just conversing with people in that sense. The second thing I love is podcasts. You know, on a weekly basis, one of my favorite days of the week is a Monday. Not because I release my podcast episodes usually on a Monday, but also because the podcasts that I listen to are on Mondays as well. I listen to sports podcast, sermons, dialogues with different podcasters about different topics, music podcasts, creativity is some of the stuff that I listen to on podcasts as well. And then the third thing I love is Jesus. And I've been following Jesus for just over 9 years. I got saved on the 7th of July, 2013. It was a Sunday morning. I remember it very well. And ever since then, my mission in life has been very simple: to use the gifts and talents that the Lord has given me to make much of Him and promote His name, His glory, His renown. And also to invite people into that invitation that I once responded to as well, because I believe that Jesus is the only way, the only truth, and the only life. And obviously, you'll hear that from my different content, such as my books, documentaries, podcasts, spoken words, merchandise. It's really about Jesus. The Hope is to Life ministry is hope is not an object or a theory, but rather it's the person and work of Jesus Christ and what He has done to bring us into a relationship with God Himself. Because of what Jesus done at the cross, He's made it available for us to be forgiven of our sins and being able to be cleansed from our sins, but also brought into a relationship with God through His Son Jesus. Do you know? So I just wanted to combine all them together: my love for talking to people, my love of podcast, and my love of Jesus, and I put it all together. And I remember when I had the idea, like now in front of my vision board, I've got ideas I'm working on. I remember reaching out to some of my friends, and some of the greatest blessings in my life have been friends. People like Patrick Dobbins, who's also my pastor, but a very dear friend. My brother Danny, who introduced me to the Christian faith. Isaac Ward, an incredible musician, an incredible leader in the young adults ministry. Ben Atkins, who's the youth pastor in Court Church Youth, and he's one of my dearest encouragements. Pastor Jordan Cassidy, who is a youth pastor over in Geneva in Switzerland, Ronan McBride, who is absolutely killing it in the media production for our church, cameras, worship, and just an all-around awesome person to be friends with. And also Nathan Cassidy, who is an incredible worship leader, a gifted man of God, someone who puts up with my sense of humor and just allows me to be me in our friendship. I remember reaching out to these guys individually, and I was just sharing the vision behind why I wanted to do the podcast, and really just explain what the purpose of it was. And I wasn't, oftentimes when you're talking to people, sometimes you're giving ideas or suggestions because you want to receive their affirmation or acceptance, because that's the way we are. We love good words of encouragement. I do as well. I'm not saying I don't. I do. It really blesses me, in fact. But I wasn't sharing the vision with them for them just to accept it or reject it, but rather I was sharing it with them because these are men, and I say men because they are men. They're all occupying jobs, partners, and they're really doing very well in ministry. They're being very faithful to the Lord and what the Lord is doing in their life. And I know that they would support me because they love me. They encourage me. They have been with me through the years. And I just wanted to share it with them so that they would support me. And I can honestly say that back in January 2021, when I shared the vision with them, they really did just support me. They really just were excited. They prayed with me. They sent me some words of encouragement. And 50 episodes down the road, they still are encouraging me because they're my greatest friends. And I'm so thankful that I don't always get to see them on a weekly basis. Sometimes I can go 4 or 5 days without seeing them or talking to them. But that's the beautiful thing about friendships, that you don't need to be around these people every day. And I think that life will teach you. Life is busy, but when you get to hang out with these people, it's like nothing has changed, And that's why the Hope Sessions podcast became a reality. I just wanted to talk to people and release it to the world and hope that it will be a blessing and an encouragement to everyone and anyone that would listen to it. And it seems to have been proven to be true that the Lord is really using this podcast. I've had many voice notes, messages of encouragement from you people, emails, in fact. I thank you for reaching out. It has encouraged my heart because I have sat at this desk 50 times now to record episodes, planning, praying, structuring the podcast episode, talking with people, and then I've had to edit it and put it up online, and it's been a joy. I love it. I can't wait till we get to the 100th episode and make it a bigger deal than just a 50th episode. I'm really looking forward to it. And I really want to say thank you so much to everyone that tunes into the podcast. It's one thing to release a podcast episode, but it's another thing to know that people are actively listening, that people are looking forward to it every week, that people are being encouraged, they're being blessed, people are encountering Jesus through the podcast. And that's the heart behind it. And I'm so thankful to every one of you that have subscribed to it, shared it with your friends and your family, and just really it's been a blessing because it is for you guys and it's also for the glory of God. So thank you for being a part of that as well. It's the 50th episode, and this I'll introduce my guest now in a second. But I wanted to share with you guys that I'm going to take a break. Don't worry, the break is not for too long. The break is till probably January, the end of January, and then season 6 will be ready to go. But the reason why I'm taking a break is because I'm quite busy at the moment. In between work and ministry life, I'm also doing a Bible college course online, which is taking a lot of my time as well. I'm working on videos at the moment. I'm in the middle of my second book of merchandise that's being planned at the moment. So there's quite a lot of things, I suppose you could say, I'm juggling. But in the meantime, while I take this break from releasing episodes, I'll be recording new episodes with guests. I think I've got about 12 to 14 different guests lined up, and I've already just been recording some of them. So silence doesn't mean that I'm not working. It just means I'm working in different ways. And that's why I'm taking a break, because I want to be able to enjoy my Christmas with my family and my friends and just enjoy what's happening over the coming weeks and months. But I say all that to say that maybe you're not following me on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. The name is Jerry D Music, Jerry with a G, and then just D Music. Check out the videos, the spoken words, the documentaries, all that stuff is there. Subscribe to it so you don't miss any of the videos that are coming in January. There's going to be 3 videos dropping in the space of about 6 to 8 weeks in January. I'm just waiting for some of those to be cleared before I can start announcing it to the world. But you are hearing it first and foremost here. Um, and with all that said, I want to transition now into the 50th episode. Um, I want to say, isn't it amazing how sometimes you can meet someone through social media, never meet them in person, but be so deeply impacted by their life, by their faith, by their creativity, by their endurance, by their ministry? Because I know I have. Today's guest, I've been following him for maybe 7, I would say 8 years. And I followed him by accident, in fact, for lack of a better term. But I remember when I followed this guy, it was on Christmas Day, and he released a battle. So he's a battle rapper, spoken word artist, Bible teacher, pastor, spoken word artist. I think I said that already. If I did, no shade at all. But yeah, I followed him, and I've been following his ministry over the last number of years, and I can honestly say that I look forward to every time he posts, releases music, releases a battle. This is a man who is honoring God in a culture known as battle rap, where it has a lot of negative connotations, negative vibes around it, just because of what the culture usually consists of. And this guy is going into the battle rap world, and not only is he doing it well, but in fact he's ranked very highly. I believe it was something like out of over 3,000 battle rappers, he's in the top 15, maybe the top 10. And he's going in there and making much of Jesus through a medium such as battle rap. And if you follow me on social media, you may have already known some of this guy's material, because I share quite a lot of his material on my stories to help encourage people to check out what I'm enjoying, what I'm being blessed by, what I'm enjoying myself, because that's why I use social media to make much of Jesus, but also to encourage other people to check out certain contents that I think will be beneficial to their faith journey. And I say all that to say this. Tune into this episode now. Me and Loso has been a pre-recorded episode, but you're going to enjoy it. I believe that it's going to be helpful to a lot of you, that you're going to be introduced to Loso, who he is. I don't want to say any more. I don't want to give you any nuggets, because I want you to actually listen to it. But guys, thank you so much yet again for the support. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share it on your story with your friends and family. And don't forget, the hope is to life as oxygen is to the body. Season 6 is coming in January. But till then, enjoy the 50th episode. Take care. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Hope Sessions podcast, where every week I have a different guest to come on and share about their journey to faith in Christ, but also to chop it up with them about what the Lord is doing in and through their life. And I was thinking today, right, as a way to, I suppose, introduce this guest. If you know me on Instagram, you know that my story usually contains this guy at least once a week, something to do with battle rap or spoken word or his content. But if you go to my church, you would think that this guy was my imaginary friend, because I talk about him quite a lot. And I'm really stoked. Now, I never say stoked, but it's just a word I heard recently, so I'm going to use it. I'm absolutely pumped to have none other than Loso, who is a battle rapper and spoken word artist, communicator, preacher from Florida. Loso, man, I am honored to have you as a guest. How are you?
Man, thank you so much, bro. That was definitely humbling to hear, bro. But I'm doing well. Home for a little bit before I go back on the road, bro. But obviously, it's an honor to come and have this conversation with you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. We're going to kick it off with a rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Great. What's your favorite clothing brand?
Favorite clothing brand would have to be, oh, this is rapid round. Fear God.
Great. Your favorite artist in general?
Okay, is this music or is it something else?
Sorry, music. Your favorite music artist?
My favorite artist would be J. Cole.
Great. And here I want to ask a specific question. Your top 5 Christian hip hop artists, either currently or overall.
Yeah, it's easy for me. The Truth,
Oh,
Shaolin, Ambassador, Lecrae, and Flame.
sheesh, man. That's a heavy hitters list.
Yeah, the legends.
Brilliant, man. So the NBA season has kicked off as of this morning. I got to see the Warriors beat the Lakers, thankfully.
Mhm.
But who is going to be in the NBA Finals 2023? What's your prediction?
I think the Warriors and the Nets. I think the Nets come back and they're going to do really well. And I think the Warriors, they're just still clicking, man. Unless any injuries happen, but I think the Warriors and the Nets.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for saying that. I'm encouraged that you're supporting the Warriors as well, my man. And the NFL season is on as well, man. I'm having a great time watching that every Sunday here. I have to sacrifice sleep.
uh,
But who makes it to the Super Bowl in February?
Man, who I want to make it to Super Bowl is the Minnesota Vikings. I want them to go to Super Bowl. But who I if I was to like really say like who looks like they're gonna go, probably um the Eagles and the Bills.
That's
That's
a
what it looks
strong one.
like.
Yeah. And I suppose as a side note, I've been flicking through Twitter the last couple of days, and as of today, the Chiefs have restructured Travis Kelce's contract. Do you think
Mhm.
that's a way where they're hinting that they're bringing in maybe a big name like OBJ, or is that just speculation?
I do think, but I think it's actually I think they're gonna try to get Christian McCaffrey. That's what I think.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting one.
We'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
OBJ's a good one. I didn't think of that though.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how will he, I suppose, hold up after having the ACL injury. Will he ever be
Yeah.
confident enough, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. Amanda, last one of this not so rapid fire round is what's your favorite book of the Bible?
I always tell people it's John, um, just because I've probably talked through it maybe about like front to back maybe 3 times,
Wow.
but maybe Romans though. I would say Romans is probably. I think one of this theologian that I used to read a lot. His name was Richard Baxter. He said, if the books of the Bible were a mountain, Romans was at the peak. It was because it's like it sums up like just the theology of a Christian and
Yeah.
really the theology of Paul. So yeah,
Yeah, man. That's awesome. So that's the rapid fire round over. I do that just as a way to settle the nerves or introduce the guest.
break the ice. Yeah.
Yeah, all that good stuff, man. This is the Hope Sessions podcast. So every guest I have that comes on is a Christian, which means they've got a story of hope. Like
Mm,
I know of you, I know your story because I've been following you for maybe 6 or 7 years on Instagram and stuff, and I've been
hmm
blessed by the content that you're putting out. But maybe for a lot of our listeners, man, they heard of Loso, but they don't know Loso's journey to faith. So would you share your
mm.
testimony with us, man?
Yeah, man. I always tell people I use the word interrupted.
Amen.
God interrupted my life because I wasn't really looking for him. So I want to I want to say maybe 2007. 2006, 2007, I was just on YouTube minding my business, and I had ran into a video about a guy named Paul Washer,
Yeah,
and he was just speaking on the holiness of God. And you've heard, growing up, and I didn't grow up in church, but at this point, my mother was already dragging me there. But you've at this point, you've already heard the story of the gospel, you've heard about sin and God's holiness, but I tell people, until the Spirit kind of just awakens you, it's not necessarily going to click. You know what I'm saying? That like things just start making sense, and then you start feeling like a little curiosity to go dig deeper and dive deeper into His Word and find out exactly what you believe and why you believe. And so for that day, that's what happened. Right after that, though, I remember being in a odd position where it was okay. I was at a church where it was predominantly older people,
mm,
and they were looking at me like, "Hey, okay, you're a Christian now, so why are you still wearing this? And why are you still talking like this? And why are you still?" And I was just like, "Well, this is just who I am." You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, this is, I come from this culture or from this side of town, and so I remember crying out to the Lord and asking him, "Hey, I mean, can I get some like some fellowship of some people who look like me and who talk like me?" And so I went to a Flame concert, and I saw some guys who look and talk like me, and
yeah,
that ended up being what the Christian rap world knows as HGA now, with KB and stuff. And so we kind of started that off in like '07, '08, and from there we were doing ministry and just fellowship and just kind of building like a brotherhood at that time from like '08 to like 2010, 2011. And so that sort of started my journey into going to Bible college, going on mission trips, doing stuff like that.
yeah.
And so yeah, man, that's how the Lord kind of drew me to him.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you touched on HDA, man, because that's one of the questions that I have. So obviously HDA was, I suppose, a collective or a clique or whatever you want to call it. There was, I
Mm.
believe, there was you, Second Chance, and KB. Was there anyone else?
It was yeah, it was I would say at its core, it was like 7 people, right?
Okay.
It was like OV was a guy, Kato, Clarity, but the three main guys really wasn't even me at the time. It was KB, Second Chance, and OV.
Okay.
Um, and because I was around them, they would ask me to sometimes get on a verse or,
Yeah.
hey, do you want to rap this verse? And it was never meant to be like this record label and it never became one. And never was like this collective of musical artists either. It was just guys who just were doing life together. And so for me being around them though, I didn't know that they were the ones kind of like indirectly encouraging me to rap and
Yeah.
encourage and teaching me how to rap really at that too. And so yeah, so that's what it was. But like I said, it was more so like so it started off with just those guys, but I mean, a year or two later, it was such a popular thing in the city and really started growing amongst the state. And this is before you were able to use. I mean, we didn't have Instagram at the time. We didn't have TikTok. We didn't have anything like that.
Yeah.
And we didn't really know how to use YouTube. So, but people were still hearing about us. That's how Lecrae ended up hearing about us. You know what I'm saying? He started coming down and saw people. We ended up getting our own T-shirts.
Yeah.
We ended up doing our own concerts, stuff like that. And so that, and I remember Cray even telling us like, "Yo, this isn't normal." Like, and we thought it was. We
Yeah.
thought everybody was doing this, like where they just lived at. But he was like, "Nah, this isn't normal. This is something different." So yeah, that was the beginning of what HGA was.
That's class. And I suppose even because obviously HTA, I suppose, as a group, whatever you call it, doesn't exist anymore. You're in the battle rap scene with A Ward, the Saga,
Hmm.
Street Hymns, and then you've got KB off doing his own thing with, I think it's Infinity, I think, or Sony Music, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Are you guys kind of, do you still have some sort of a relationship, or is it just kind of drifted off?
Yeah, so it's yeah, like every period. I mean, periodically we'll probably contact each other, something like that.
Sure.
And because we're both in the city, but we don't run into each other because we're always out of the city, both of us.
Yeah.
So but but he'll text me after he watches a battle, or if I'm free, like he's actually I think he's performing I think his tour comes to Tampa this weekend,
Yeah.
but I'll be in Texas. So,
Oh,
but if I was here, I would definitely go support. So yeah.
yeah, man, that's awesome. And I suppose we're talking about hip hop and you guys writing, learning how to write verses and stuff. And the question I have for you is like, when did you discover that you had this ability, man, to rap, communicate, write? Because not
Mm.
everyone has been graced with that gift. Other people have been graced in other ways. So when did you first
Yeah,
discover it?
man. You know what? As I remember being at a younger age, I remember listening to rap songs and just having so people would just listen to them and that's it. But I would have a desire to really know what they said,
Yeah,
and I would press pause and I would write it down. You know what I'm saying? I would have a pen and I have paper, and I would literally write out the lyrics, bro. I would write
yeah,
out the lyrics to every song that I wanted to know the lyrics to, and then I would memorize it, and then I would study it. This is like 10 years old, 10, 11 years old,
yeah,
and but what you don't know is that that's teaching you how to rap when you're following somebody else's cadences
yeah,
and flows and delivery and learning on how they say things and breath control. I was and it wasn't because I wanted to be a rapper. I just wanted to learn the lyrics, and so indirectly, I was teaching myself that. Fast forward when I get with HGA and they started giving me opportunities to do that. I was it within that group. It was obviously it was KB, Second Chance, OV, but we had two other guys that I was real close with, Kato and Clarity,
yeah,
and they were rapping at the time, and so we just ended up making a group within ourselves. And at
yeah.
the time, we were called the Young Boys,
Okay.
and so we were super young, but we had a guy who had invested into us, and his name was Sacrifice. He was a producer out here, and he kind of just took us under his wing, opening up his door, putting on some beats. and recording and mixing really everything for free for us. He just wanted to put out content with us, and we were always over there, bro. And
Yeah.
that's where I learned how to write on the spot. Like I would have to like just write my verses on the spot. I would learn how to record a verse right then and there, and it wasn't pretty, it wasn't good at the time, but I was learning,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of trial by error, but over the course of time, I ended up being known around the city as like a punchline rapper. And
Sure.
then I started doing, and then obviously I was watching battle rap, and so that influenced the way I wrote. It influenced the way that I delivered certain things. So I
Mm,
remember my first poem. I think it was on the book of Hosea because a pastor had asked me. He basically wanted me to write um, like basically like an acapella verse, a
yeah.
poem on like the different minor prophets. And he actually had asked KB, but KB didn't, he couldn't do it. Like obviously
Yeah.
he was busy. So I said, yo, I'll do it. And
Mm,
so when I did it, that really, KB not being able to do it actually opened up a door for me to consistently do it and then learn how to write these long pieces, right? They
yeah.
were like 3, 4 minute pieces and memorize them and perform in front of everybody. Another step into what will later be on battle rap, right? Like I would be
Yeah.
learning how to perform these acapella pieces, even though they were just spoken word pieces. But as I was writing these spoken word pieces, they were um, they were influenced with a battle rap delivery and a battle rap cadence. And so even though it was truth and it was gospel and it was punchlines, it had that feel to it. So people who were in the crowd were like, man, we've seen poetry, we've seen spoken word before, but we've never seen it like this.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what was separating me from the rest of the guys during the time.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you literally have just transitioned into battle rap. You've mentioned it. And I suppose the question I would ask you is I was introduced to battle rap because of you, A Ward, the Saga, and Street Hymns, otherwise known as the Four Horsemen, right?
Yeah.
But like, I suppose because it's an interesting question, man, because you guys have been incredibly successful in it in quite a short space of time. But I'm
Uh-huh.
interested to hear what has the response of the church been towards you guys as you have entered into battle rap? Has it been positive, negative, or
At first it wasn't all positive.
okay?
We would get obvious, and even I mean I remember even having family members who were like, yeah, I can't support that. And so but I understood because what they were watching was only, like I tell people, it's only the tip of the iceberg of what's really going on, right?
Yeah,
Like I would have to sit down with you guys and really break down like the ins and outs of my relationships with certain battle rappers and the influence I have and the way I was able to kind of like minister or help somebody
yeah,
in need. And that only came because I was in this field, and that only came because I was doing well in this field as well. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like they wouldn't have heard it from anyone else unless it came in this package. And so I do believe God was creating an opportunity for us to kind of impact those people. And that's kind of why he was gracing us to elevate in that culture. And so the church obviously they were seeing some fruit, but they probably weren't seeing it the way that they wanted to, or
mm,
it was something new too. You got to think about it. Like it wasn't like we could point to other guys who did it before us and say like, hey, this is how you represent when you're in the battle rap club. We were the first ones doing it.
yeah,
And we finding ourselves in rooms with all these different celebrities and stuff like that. And I know that the other believers will probably be looking at it like, oh, you shouldn't be there. And they were writing and stuff like that. But I
mm,
would say over time, they have been a little more receptive to us. And that doesn't vary from, I mean, that varies from ages too and
yeah.
demographics. So I've seen obviously younger people were signing with us, but now even older people and whoever it may be. So it's been really dope to kind of see the growth
Yeah.
as we kind of grew. So did people's perception and maturity of us.
That's right. So it's by you guys being on the journey that the Lord has brought you on, has
Mhm.
ultimately brought people along and softened their hearts over time. Because it's an interesting one, man. Like, because in my church, I'm actually convinced I'm the only person who likes battle rap. Because in Ireland,
Mhm.
I'll be honest, the battle rap culture is whack. I don't
Yeah,
mean
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
legit, I'm watching it and it's the Irish accent doesn't
Yeah.
allow them to be funny or creative.
Oh yeah.
It's awful, to be fairly honest, man. I'm listening to it and like my ears hurt.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's because my introduction to you, man, I remember it was, I'm very sure it was 100%, it was Christmas Day. And John, your battle promoter, is it John the Don?
John the Don. Yep.
Yeah, he released the battle you had with B Dot the God on Christmas
Uh,
Day.
yep.
And I remember, no joke, I was about to sit down and have Christmas dinner with my family, and I seen it. It came up on my phone for YouTube, and I was like, save that to watch later. I'm watching that later. But as soon as I finished my dinner, I ran up to my room and I watched the battle probably four
Mm,
times that day, and I
mm.
was so impressed with it, man. Like
Yeah,
legit, it
yeah,
was such
yeah.
a to me, it was like battle rap, which naturally has a lot of negative connotations to it because of the culture around it and stuff. But then I was thinking battle rap, Christian, Jesus, influence, and I was hooked from there on, man.
Come
But I
on.
wanted to ask you, what was it like with that battle with Beat Up? Because you guys were hitting on some heavy topics throughout the
Hmm.
course of that
Yeah.
battle, you know?
Man, I think so beforehand, it was a tough battle to prepare for
Yeah.
because I remember just opponent wise, he was the first opponent that I had looked across the stage and I said, man, he could do everything I could do.
Mm,
He was like a Swiss Army knife too, you know what I'm saying? And so um, I wanted to make sure that when I went in there, a conversation was had. I wanted to make sure that because a lot of people too at the time, they were like, I don't want to say afraid to battle him, but that's what it sounded like. It literally
yeah.
sounded like some people didn't want to battle him. And so I made sure that when I was in there, um, I brought the energy, I brought the passion, and I also wanted to challenge him on his certain thoughts. And so I tell people all the time, I had wrote like a lot of things down that I wanted to say to him, but I just didn't have time. Like it was so much. Sometimes you have opponents that you don't know what to say. Then
Yeah.
there's other times where you're like, man, I got so much material, and it could it can easily I could have easily taken this second round out and used something else, or this
Sure.
third round. Like I just had so much to talk to him about, and so but that was good, man. The battle was well received after that. I mean, legends were commenting on it. People wanted it to even study it in school.
Yeah.
To this day, I mean, it's 2022, and to this day, I get stopped about that battle. So,
Wow. Praise God, man. It just goes to show you the positive light of battle rap and how it can be used for a positive influence in people's lives, right? People talking about wanting to study it in school. I think that's well impressive, man, you know?
crazy, yeah.
Another question I have for you is it's so you've battled a lot. In fact, I'm not sure to the extent of the battle. I think you've probably battled like 30, 40 sort of times, probably
Probably like 40
more,
something, yeah, 40 something, 50.
which is that's a lot of materials. That's a lot of going back and forth. That's a lot of
Yeah.
rehearsing. But the question I have for you, my man, is it's a three-part question. Which battle was your hardest, your most enjoyable, and your most difficult?
Okay. So when you say hardest and difficult, what's the difference between those two?
A difficult, I suppose, maybe because of the crowd influence. Were you at a hostile
Oh,
crowd
gotcha,
where it kind
gotcha.
of caused your focus to be drifted or maybe taken away?
So I guess like B dot was probably my hard my I still think that's my toughest.
Okay.
It's no shot to anybody else, but at the time I do feel like most enjoyable. I really enjoyed my battle with chess.
Yeah.
I think that's another battle that's just like such good content in there, and even to this day, I still get contacted about that one. Um, Hardest, probably versus Twerk because he was down so bad in the eyes of the culture that they just
Yeah.
wanted him to do well. And so I'm always up for a challenge to battle somebody somewhere. And so, but in front of that crowd, I felt like they wanted to just hear him. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So, but I was really proud of myself just fighting through and pushing through a tough crowd like that. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like you can't do anything about the other variables in a battle. I tell younger battlers who always ask me for advice, I'm like, look, you go into a battle, your opponent, it's not basketball. It's not like you can block their shot. It's not like you
Yeah.
can do anything. You got to go in there and just be the best you can be, and let the chips fall where they may. You know what I'm saying? So, and sometimes, it goes well. Sometimes, the crowd may be rocking with somebody else. But all in all, if you can just make sure that you are professional and getting your material off, somebody's going to hear what you have to say. So,
That's right. And I wanted to ask you a question, man. There was one battle in particular, I suppose, where it kind of stopped me in my tracks as I was listening to it. You were battling a guy called, I believe it was Briz Rothstein,
Hmm.
is it?
Hmm.
And was that a very difficult battle for you? Because it just seemed like there
Nah,
was
what
just
and people, yeah, people say that. So the reason why people bring that one up is because that's the only battle where I choked, right?
sure.
I forgot my round. But I tell people though, I didn't get contacted for that battle until the week of, and so I really wasn't gonna do it. But John, who's my guy, he was begging me and asking me to do it. And so,
Yeah.
and he had already lost one of the battles on the card. And so it was kind of like if we didn't battle, it was really going to make the event not
Mm,
worth it. And so, unfortunately, and what's crazy is up into the battle, I kept trying to rehearse. I kept trying to rehearse, but I wasn't able to memorize it. I just
yeah.
wasn't able to get it down for some reason. That I didn't have one. I remember knowing that there wasn't one time that I cleanly went through the whole round. So, but I just felt like, well, when I'm up there in game speed,
Yeah.
I'll be able to kind of just, get through it. And it didn't go through. And so, lost about maybe like a minute or two material, got it back, still finished it off. But, you know, stuff like that happens. Unfortunately for me, I always, pride myself in making sure that I'm very, very prepared
Yeah.
before I get on stage. But yeah, this is just one of those battles that you kind of just chalk it up as a lesson and you just learn from it.
Yeah, man. And I suppose off the back of that, in battle rap, there's a lot of mind games, or some battlers will make particular references to maybe a family member or a wife or an instance that happened in your life and try to use it as a way to,
Hmm.
I suppose, throw you off your game. I remember there was one battle I was listening to with A Ward. It was Ilmac, and Ilmac made reference to, I believe it was a dead family member of A Ward.
Mm,
And
yeah,
as
I
I was
remember that.
watching it, now I've never met A Ward, and I can't wait for the day that I get to meet him and thank him for his encouragement in my life. But that annoyed me. And I'm
Yeah,
not even the battler. I'm just chilling at home on my laptop on YouTube. And I suppose for you, there's been many references where people have maybe tried to give you rib shots to try
yeah.
throw you off. And for you, is it the sort of thing when you're on the stage, are you so zoned in that you don't even take any attention to maybe the bars that are coming at you, or does it actually affect you?
Yeah, no, I don't even. I try not to even listen to what they say sometimes. I'm so
Okay.
zoned in. Now, granted, if the crowd is like going crazy, I'm like, okay, let me listen to a little bit. But for most of the part,
Yeah.
I'm just ready to go with mines. And so, um, but yeah, when they say certain things, like unfortunately, with the eight war situation, I understand why that bothered him. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, his
Yeah.
grandmother had just, well, not had just, but the first time when they were going to battle, she had passed away, and so
Mm,
um, that was the only time that I feel like Ward was even kind of like not himself in a battle. You know what I'm saying? Where it was kind of like messing with him. But I
yeah.
tell people, I'm like, what do you like? At the end of the day, we're still human. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's right.
I mean, if somebody was doing that to me, I probably would have reacted maybe even worse than how Ward reacted. And so,
Okay.
unfortunately, you just have to be prepared for that. You know what you signed up for. This is battle rap. It's not a fair sport in the sense of content. And so, let them say whatever they want to say. When it's your turn, you get a final say as well.
Yeah. Because when I've listened to the battles, obviously there's been, I wonder though, when they throw these rib shots, is it because of their lack of material, or is it that they mentally want to defeat you before they come across with their verse, because their verse doesn't really pack a punch? So if they
Yeah.
make it personal, they will win the crowd over, and then the crowd will obviously
Mhm.
cheer, which
I think
becomes
it's both. I think it's
yeah,
both. You know what I'm saying? I think it's one that may be mental, but I also think that it's, at the end of the day, they're just trying to just win. So if the crowd is like, "Oh, well, he brought up your grandmother, and you didn't want to say nothing about," like, yeah, unfortunately, it's an opinionated sport. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like even in quote unquote judges and votes, like it's still opinionated because it's not like, okay, well, at the end of the battle, you scored this amount of points and I scored more than you, so you went. Like, nah, it's somebody saying, yo, you know what? We liked his material better than your material.
that's right.
And so yeah, going in front of a crowd, what they might like, they might want that disrespectful. type of content, or or maybe they don't, but I do think that they always do it because they think this is going to help them win.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question. So, one of your battles, you've teamed up with A Ward in a battle that I have probably listened to about 12 times.
Hmm.
And it's where you and A Ward have battled Geechee Gotti and B. Dot the God. And there's
Yeah,
one thing that I was so impressed by, man. And obviously, I've seen 2-on-2s when you were with Street Hymns and you was battled the two female girls. But
yeah.
you and A Ward specifically, man, you've got so much chemistry, like the ability to bounce off each other, and it's
Mhm.
very contagious. But what was that battle like? Because that battle, I believe it's like 700,000 views on YouTube right now
Yeah.
and climbing.
Man, I tell people, because we get stopped for we have two on twos, right? That one, and then we have the KD and MVP battle. And
Yes.
I tell people, I'm like, man, those I think that we put on two of the best two-on-two performances, but at the same time, I think like that's not even scratching the surface of what we could possibly do.
Yeah.
We wrote the Geechee and beat out one and probably in a couple of days, bro. We wrote that battle in a couple of days.
Wow.
And because we don't live together, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then we have busy schedules. And then the KD and MVP one, I remember we told ourselves, man, we need to prepare even more because we want to see what we can do. But we didn't. We still waited the week of because I think I was on vacation and I finally met up with him. It was really tough, but by the time we did link up, we were able to put some great material in. So it's always fun, you know what I'm saying? It's fun because you get to try certain things that you wouldn't be able to do by yourself, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like the finishing each other's sentences stuff, or in the Katie and MVP, we did, where I brought the Bible out, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and did that, or I was rapping in Spanish and AWOL was translating, like
That's right.
things you wouldn't be able to do that if you were just by yourself. So you get to it's almost like an all-star game. I tell people you get to
Yeah.
finally try certain things that won't necessarily get you in trouble or mess up. So
Yeah.
it's super fun when we do those.
Yeah. And then off the back of that, I suppose, is there any, I suppose it's a two-part question. So is there anyone that you want to battle in a 1v1? And then was there anyone that you would like to battle with A Ward again and potentially on a 2-on-2?
Two-on-two is easy. We definitely want to battle either DNA and Kayshawn or Sue Surf and Tay Rock, either one of those two. Those are two of the best ones that we've seen. And then one-on-one, I have a couple guys like Kayshawn, T Top. Those will probably be the two that I would really be eager to battle. So, and then Tay Rock as well.
That's awesome. And then I suppose the transition slightly away from battle rap.
Hmm.
You and A Ward have teamed up with a spoken word as well, and it's called "It's Okay Not to Be Okay." And I was at home with my mom probably 3 or 4 weeks ago at this stage, and it was one morning I was having breakfast, and I was just talking to her about just mental health heading into the winter season, the short days, long nights, and how that can affect people. And I was showing her the spoken word, and she was so impressed by it, man. She was so moved to the point where
Mm-hmm.
after we watched it, it was probably about 20 seconds of just silence. And then
Wow.
all she said was, wow. And she's
Mm.
like, I follow these guys on Instagram, but she said, now I'm going to check these guys out more. So my mom, who is a 50-something-year-old woman, has been impacted by what you guys have done with that.
That's so
And
fire.
I suppose to back off of that, man, with that encouragement, do you guys have any plans to maybe do another 2-on-2, or sorry, you and A Ward with a spoken word, or because you
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
done Peter and who was it? Peter versus
Peter and Paul,
that's
and
right.
that was something that we were asked to do. So it wasn't something that we came up with ourselves. But the
Okay.
the mental health. So yeah, so right now we're currently on tour for the post and autumn tour, and our goal was to have another one. We were supposed to do another piece where because we do that mental health one on tour,
Yeah.
and people they honestly almost 9 times out of 10 people come up to us and say like, yo, that's our favorite piece that you did. Like people are literally in tears when we
Yeah.
perform it in live, and we always get a standing ovation for it and stuff. And so yeah, it's tough though with pieces like that because you want to be vulnerable, you want to be transparent, so you want to um make sure that you're just not forcing it. Like it's like, hey,
Yeah.
let's just do a poem just to do a poem. Now we are teaming up with Elevation for Christmas, where we will be doing a spoken. And you've heard it here first. Actually, no one knows this, but for Elevation, we are because they were at our Poets in Autumn in Raleigh, and they saw what we did, and so they contacted us. And so now for Christmas services, so it'll be about 4 different services that they're doing. We'll be writing a poem that is centered basically around the theme "A Promise Kept." You know, God keeping His promise by
Wow.
sending His Son. And so I think we'll be rapping in the with the characters of the shepherds at that time and what they were thinking and stuff like that, and what
Yeah.
they were singing. And so I think it should be real dope. But yeah, that'll probably be the next one that you guys see from us. So
Oh, praise God, man. I'm actually shaking now just at the fact that I got
mhm.
some
Yeah,
exclusive info. Man, that's awesome.
exactly.
And the fact that you mentioned Elevation, I was actually going to ask you because one of your most recent collaborations with Elevation was on a song called Rattle. And
Yeah.
obviously, I know you worked with Elevation, I think it was a couple of years ago on a song as well, right? So,
Uh-huh.
what was that like, I suppose, being reached out again by quite a prominent church that we all know,
Yeah.
Stephen Furtick, Elevation, and what they're
Yeah.
about? What was that like? Because you've obviously got relationships established with them for them to
Mhm.
invite you back again.
Yeah, man, they just do everything with excellence. When it comes to that, like as far as like their music production, bro, their vision for certain themes that they try to carry out throughout their services. And so
Yeah,
when they contacted me, now granted, I haven't listened to much of their music. And
yeah,
so Rattle was a new song that when they sent it to me, but did it, and people I remember, but people who are big fans of Elevation, I remember telling them like, hey, for Easter, I'm gonna be remixing that. They were like, you better not mess that song up. That's my favorite song. And so, so I didn't know how big of a deal it was.
yeah,
But man, every time I link up with them, it's just good people. They're always appreciative of my talents. And that's why they keep, I've done maybe about 5 or 6 projects with them. And
wow,
so, they keep bringing me back because of how well we work together, and we kind of just know each other now. And so whenever they kind of do need a rapper, I'm usually one of the first ones. Or if they need like a spoken word piece, I'm usually one of the first ones. So
yeah.
it's dope, man. It's really a unique experience.
Yeah. I suppose as a way to wrap this podcast up, man, the last question I have is, I suppose, as a fan myself, I want to ask this: is there any, I suppose, plans in motion to come to Europe, maybe
Mhm.
2023, or is anything happening on that front?
Yeah, man. So the Post and Autumn tour is finishing up.
Yeah,
Will be done November 5th. But Ezekiel, he's the head of it, and that's his plan, man. He wants to take us to Europe, and granted, um, we were already kind of, we've been to Europe here and there before, AWard and I, as far as
yeah,
like battling, and it's kind of slowed down a little bit after COVID, but hopefully that picks back up. But yeah, if we can go ahead and do this tour out there, I think it'd be real dope. I think a lot of people will enjoy it out there, so we'll see.
yeah, man, awesome. Well, I'm gonna say this. I've said this to my people as well. As soon as I hear that you guys are somewhere in Europe, that's
Hmm.
it. I'm getting time off work. I'm booking the
Yeah,
tickets. We're getting the
yeah,
accommodation sorted. I'm not just coming
yeah.
myself. I'm bringing my squad with me.
Nice,
For sure,
nice.
man. Because I just
Yeah.
want to, I suppose, as a way to encourage you. I'm a spoken word artist myself, which I think you're aware of anyway. But a
Mhm.
lot of my, I suppose, how I perform has been influenced greatly by you guys and just how well
Mm.
you excel in battle rap.
Nice.
So I want to thank you for being an example to me.
Nah,
I
definitely,
mean, I'm
man.
rooting for you guys as soon as so on my phone, I have the notifications and it'll be like everything Loso has a new post. And I'm like,
Mm.
open this
Yeah, yeah,
quickly. I want to
yeah,
see
yeah,
what this
yeah,
man's up to.
yeah.
So thank you, man, for being an
Yeah,
example.
some news then. I'll be I think I'm dropping a music video in the next couple of days, so to a new single, man. So
Awesome.
hopefully you guys enjoy it, bro.
Really will, man. And as soon as it drops, you've got me. I'm gonna definitely be sending that to my friends, my people,
Yes,
and
sir.
get them to watch it for sure. Because
Cool.
even for as a way to close, man, how can people check you out? Do you have a website,
I
Twitter?
do, yeah. Yep, everythingloso.com, or but really, like, if you want like what I'm doing day to day and stuff, I tell people go to my Instagram or my Twitter, everything Loso on both handles. And so yeah, man. And like I said, I'll be the next thing that you'll be seeing. Currently still on tour. I'll be in Texas this weekend, but
Yeah.
the next thing you guys will be seeing is obviously a music video from me for my next single.
Amen. Amen. That's awesome. So I want to thank you, man. You're in the middle of a tour. I know you're having a couple of rest days at home, but thank you for giving up your time,
Of
man, to be
course,
a
man.
blessing to me and the people of Ireland and whoever else listens to this podcast.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you so much for having me, bro.
Indeed. Bless you, man. Take care.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Hope Sessions podcast with me, Jerry D. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you're tuning into it from. This greatly helps to spread the word about the podcast, but also to encourage other people to check it out for themselves. Until next week, take care, God bless, and don't forget, hope is to life as oxygen is to the body. Take care.